I'm Cynthia from Los Angeles, born and raised.
I'm Melissa. I'm from Canada.
The liner that I'm doing is influenced by my favorite era, which is kind of the 60s makeup, and the shadow that I have on is just a modern way of that 60s kind of carved out crease, but it fading into my brow. I'm using just a gel liner, and I love using an angled brush because I feel like it just hugs the eye really well. And I let the brush do the work for me. I just kind of just tap it on and connect the dots. And I actually use the same brush for my brows too. I don't know what you like to use.
I'm going to end up using that same brush in my brow, so you're going to see how well it works. I love those multi-purpose products. Most people, when they're trying to create a shape around their brow, they tend to just follow what they think they already have, and unfortunately that's not always what you've been blessed with as far as the right shape. So it's better to try and cheat, I guess, a little bit and create a shape that suits your eye.
My trick is to actually get your liner on, just throw it on there, and then go back in and clean it up. And I just wet my brush with some makeup remover, dab the excess off, and then once I have my liner on, I take the brush and just shape it.
When I do brows, the one thing that I really have to keep in mind is I don't want to go back to doing a full fill-in of the brow where you see one uniform color the whole way across. So I almost look at doing a brow as almost as if you're contouring and highlighting it. And that way you also kind of layer in other colors so that it really does mimic the hair. I use that same angle brush, but I really like to take my fingers and run it over the brush hair before I then carve out my brow end, and that just gives a really great crisp line, not unlike your liner. I like to mix it, so I can take my black tracks and a white pencil, and I can kind of create this really great mix. So when I want to go in and fill in with a bit of a darker shade in my brow, I've created this kind of soft gray tone that I can kind of make my brows stand out a little bit more.
So you've inspired me. I'm using Fascinating Liner that you use in your brows in my waterline. And what this is going to do, it's going to create kind of that open doll eye effect. And it'll help make my liner stand out just a little more. This is something that is a look that could be achieved in maybe like 5 to 10 minutes. I used to do my eyeliner on the bus on the way to school because my father wouldn't allow me to wear liner. So I had to learn really quickly how to get a nice straight line. So what I'm doing now is I'm just adding a little bit of super slick liner. With this look, I want it to be super intense at the lash line because, you know, when I wear liner, what I wear liner for is to create the illusion of a really thick lash line. So I just kind of press this all over on top of the original gel liner that I had placed. And the reason I do that is because, one, this is waterproof, so once I lay this down, it's going to stay on. So I like to kind of sketch out with the gel liner first, then I apply this waterproof over it, and what it does, it just gives me a really beautiful kind of shine to the liner to give it that modern type of feel, but it stays on really well.
So for me to be able to get a really crisp line and make it dimensional, I love the fact that I can play around with different products, and I've gone from something creamier like a pencil to something like the gel-based fluid line, mixing it together, and then adding on top of that the eyeshadow to really add that crisp line. And I've gone with something that's like a darker brown tone, and by using this darker brown tone, especially on the lower part of my brow, and on the higher part of the arch and the end,
Looks
it
great.
really kind of makes it look like it's, you know, again, you're getting a little bit of highlighting and contouring rather than it just being one color. And I try not to fill in too heavily on the inner corner. It's kind of like you were saying, you know, depending on whether your eyes are either a little closer together or further apart. I don't want to make my eyes look like they're closer together, so I want to stay away from doing too much of a heavy fill right on the inner corner of my eyebrow. And I can't live without this brush. You know, it's the one thing that kind of grooms your brow all together. And I know you probably use it for your lashes as well, but I do love a brush that can be manipulated so that you can then comb your shadow all together.
So using, I think, the right products can make a world of difference.
I totally agree with you there.
What do you think?
Stunning.
Thank you.
Who wouldn't want to look like that? It's amazing. Let's go get a drink.
We're ready.